for our first map. And one thing I wanted to get in the desk, Ollie, that I think a lot of people aren't understanding about MIBR. This team finished 3rd place at Invite. That was only 9 months ago. That team was the 3rd best team in the world. You think about Invite 2020, TSM finished 3rd place. How often did we hype up TSM and we thought TSM was this great team and oh my word, look at TSM, and we're still going on about TSM to this day. Why are we not going on about MIBR? Because it's only been 9 months ago. This is like the 3rd place team. We have to give them credit. We have to.
It's great. I think I may have done them an injustice. I think I may have misspoke and said they got 4th, but if it's 3rd, isn't it? And
yeah,
as you say, it's crazy to see a team that gets to that level, gets to that height, and then just falls off as sharply as they did. Obviously, there's good reason, there's good excuse behind that.
Yeah.
But this is the redemption tour. This is the comeback now, and it really ought to be on for them. There's not many excuses left for any sort of lackluster performance starting from here on out. We know what these guys are capable of, and it's going to be on Akave to sort of play defense on that.
I know that we talked about the redemption, and obviously you mentioned that we've seen MIBR in the Copa Elite 6. They finished last in their group.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does that say about the team? You know, we mentioned that at the back end of stage 3, okay, things are looking a lot better for them. The injury issue it's not there anymore. Still rocked up and just really didn't put a dent. They got beat by Akave the last time they played against each other.
The problem with the Copa Elite 6 is you've got to look at it in the lens of what it means. And if MIBR's long-term plan was that they knew they weren't going to get into SI off the back of a Copa win, because it wouldn't have given them enough points, and it was always going to come down to a qual, like, is it worth putting that effort in? Is it worth, you know, revealing and playing to that factor?
That was a chance to get to Sweden Major. So surely you'd want to get to there before you start thinking, okay, you know what, let's just focus on Invite. You still want to get to Sweden.
Yeah. It's difficult to understand where the heads of the players are at, especially with what they've actually been through. It's certainly a bit of a rebuild on the cards.
10 seconds remaining.
Let's see if MIBR can start off on the right foot today. Not really starting on necessarily the favoured side here. Starting off on the defence. As we've mentioned, there's plenty of opportunity for attackers, but we saw Akave play yesterday, Demo, and they looked frightening in both ways. They looked frightening good and they looked frightening bad on the attack sometimes yesterday. It really just went round by round.
Yeah, a little bit up, a little bit down, but overall fairly consistent from Akave. A good day's work. You know, we talked about the Molly. They're a morning team. It's the morning.
It is the morning.
So that should be good for them. You'd hope so anyway. But I mean, it is going to be Chalet, which I would say is still a bit of a temperamental map if you are on the attack, because there is certain things you have to watch out for. I think spawn peaks are obviously going to be very dominant. I think certain runouts that you get, it's a big roaming map. You know, there is runouts that will happen to you. There will be roamers all over the place. Plenty of C4 spots as well. So there's a few things that can kind of go against the attackers, but overall it's still an attack inciting map.
Well, this is a much slower start, isn't it, compared to what we're used to seeing from Akave. They haven't run headlong into anything just yet. Taking the time, a little bit of presence here on the solar rappel. GG. What a threat. What a presence that man has been all weekend so far. Luka does come in with the trade, but equally Bursa is there to respond. An opening advantage here for Akave, all off the back of GG, who has been a cracking entry, really, for the side of Akave throughout the course of these couple of days.
Top 4 control. Furious.
Well, until they played against Furious, but I mean, that might be part of the master plan. This is Akave. They show us here and they start coming in and stomping. We know that they all along just wanted to guarantee the best of 3 and not the best of 5.
Yeah. Certainly. And I mean, that like a bit of a roam hold did come in from MIBR, but it's been shut down very swiftly. I don't think that was really worth from MIBR. Now they're stuck in a 3 versus 4 with still a minute to go for the attackers. They haven't really lost anyone, you know, crucial. Sure, you've lost Niana, but that's your entry. You expect to see kills and trades happen in towards that top floor. GG will spot out bits of information. Sees that shield being placed on towards that blue door and also sees that mute gemmer, which will stop Any Habana pellets going down, and Felipox, he took a trip up blue, and he's found Nobby's all by himself inside a lobby. That's a great pick to get back. And that means that Akave, they have to try and deal with him because they cannot go in for this plant if they know a roamer's still upstairs lurking around those hatches.
Bit of a lack of information there, wasn't it, from the side of Akave, just pushing in a little bit too deep, not realizing that anybody's playing inside a bar, and there's still a presence on that mid floor. Felipox getting a little bit brave now as he's going for a bit of a challenge onto GG inside a kitchen, just going to choose a slightly alternate line of approach as the site is being pressured as well. Fowls has got a lot of work to do here to try and stop and deny that plant from going down. Toxic Babe canisters have been unsuccessful, but Burster gets taken out from the hatch. Felipox made the rotation. GG, where did he go? We saw him then in the final kill cam. He was actually on the site. So they've opened the hatch and then not been able to take full advantage of it because they've been pressured so much from below.
I don't know why he's dropped. Because they know Felipox is still upstairs. And I mentioned he's just going to play up there because he knows he can just use the hatch. The hatch is open for him to do something like that he's just done. I think in that scenario, GG, I understand why he dropped because he wanted to try and stop anyone pushing out a connector and then try and cover that diffuser going down. He can still stay on the hatch and stop anyone wide swinging the diffuser. He can still stop that. Just one little misplay, one thing that you're missing, and it's all over in a blink of an eye.
Attackers need to locate.
It really doesn't take much, and a player like Felipox is certainly going to take full advantage of that. He barely moved throughout the course of the round. He literally rotated from bar into kitchen, and that was it, or into dining room, sorry, and that was it. And you just think that's the kind of... I mean, you can't really go up against that. If you're going to open that hatch and you're going to play it and you're going to plant underneath of it, you have to have somebody covering. It's giving me flashbacks of some of the things we were seeing yesterday, Demo.
And this is where Akave, they need to realize that it's MIBR. This isn't, you know, Malvinus that they were playing against yesterday or Furious. It's a different breed, Ollie. And we have to admit that MIBR are a different breed than what Akave has played against yesterday. So they need to be ready for everything, because if MIBR, they see an opportunity, they will expose you to the fullest extent. That's just how good they are and how they can read those situations. You know, I think back whenever this MIBR team was starting out, back whenever they were known as Team 1, Ollie, before we had that big organization shuffle. And I thought that team had bags of potential. I thought Lukid was, you know, the next star, and I think he's definitely delivering that. Lukid, for me, is still a fan favorite on this lineup. Big fan of Felipox. I think he is putting a real shift over the year. You know, you just have to respect these players, and Akave, they need to realize that they need to be, you know, watertight with all these attacks.
Yeah, they can't be leaving anything up to chance. And maybe yesterday they were playing aggressively, they're playing a bit looser and faster because of the teams that they were going up against. They knew that they could, or at least they felt as though they could get away with that. But it isn't going to fly today. Novice is going to be first blood here inside of round number 2. M-King's actually playing on the Nook this time as well, so that speaks to a sneaky entry, a little bit of stealth and aggression coming out of nowhere, but he's actually just taken up on side of New Balcony, looking through the double window, trying to pick out the player on the fireplace. It's actually going to be Lukid on the Oryx, so got an ability to move, got an ability to rotate, but I mean, it's not really the most ideal person to be playing there. It all depends on what he's got around his feet. We can hear a couple of ADSs ticking away, so he's going to be relatively safe from any nades that do get sent on in. Obviously, M-King on the Nook is going to be bringing those nades. As the burn comes through, Lukid actually uses the dash to just get himself out of dodge really quickly and make that rotation.
Yeah, the proximity alarm also going off. That will spot out, well, not spot out, but sound out one player lurking downstairs inside of Mud. Bursa needs to be careful because he could easily get swung. It's just a single doorway that's only covering him. Guicho will find Felipox. Now we're stuck in a 4 versus 4. Raps, like I said, he heard the proximity alarm, moves in towards Mud now, and he's looking to see if he can hold on to that window and not allow anyone into that great position where you can cover up the crosses in those long corridors. M-King's now rotated over towards lobby door, and this is a little bit reckless from Akave in terms of how they're playing it, Ollie. Very by themselves and no real structure to it. I worry if the gunfights come in, are they going to be able to refrag them?
You got to start thinking about the time now as well. 35 seconds isn't a lot of time to really start getting a lot of refrags and making a good deal of progress onto side, because they haven't done a lot to set up this execute. There's still roamers unaccounted for. There's still players upstairs inside a piano, downstairs inside a dining room. So there's a lot of people to try and round up here. And we know that MIBR are capable solo players. They can play out there on the roam and make those rotations matter when it comes to it. First nade comes in from GG as the plant is going to be stuck here by Burster. The players from MIBR are flooding, trying to make something happen, but it's all coming down to Lukin. Plant has gone down. He's got the hatch to work with. He can try and get himself a little bit of damage there onto Burster and does just exactly that. 1 versus 2. It isn't impossible from this point onward, but he needs to play this well. Looks as though he's relatively starved for information, going to hit the drop and look to try and pre-fire and get a little bit lucky. Doesn't realize that there's one plane in connector, one plane at the top of those stairs. Burster will collect that final kill. It was a late round execute there from Akave, but as MIBR rotated, as they tried to make themselves get back on site, they just got cut down, Demo.
Yeah, it did indeed. I mean, I think just too many roamers at that stage. And considering where they were, remember they had the opening pick and All's Ollie, they still stuck with the roam game and it just left them too thin on the actual bomb site. And I mean, sure, that's fine if you want to keep with that roam game, but it looked as if they just forfeited all top blue control, which again is very, very strange. The whole idea of barn gaming is to waste as much time as you can and burn utility. You think about the WAMI disc that you can toss out and the ADSs that you can place on the top blue. You have a shield. Whoever's playing that position, they're going to be as happy as anything. So I think that maybe MIBR, they need to look for that more structured kind of default play style, because there's a reason why it's default, Ollie, because it's tried and tested and it's always going to work.
It is a criticism that we've put toward MIBR previously, is that they do sometimes err on the side of more roamers than necessary and tend to rely on players like Fowls and Raps to really lock down in on the site. We'll have to see how they choose to approach round number 3. Going to be downstairs inside a kitchen and dining. We've actually got Redux bringing the castle this time, so I imagine they're going to get played upstairs.
Yeah.
Although with a sledge on the board, I mean, given Novice's performance throughout this game, you're probably pretty safe bringing a castle, because I think he's been first blood both times, bless him. But I'm sure that won't continue throughout the course of the game. Redux there, just a little bit of site prep. There's a bit of an extension over onto the top of fireplace, inside of office as well, a couple of vertical holes. This all hinges on keeping control of upstairs for as long as possible, which is a roaming destination. And if there's one thing that MIBR can do, it's stay out on the roam for the majority of the round.
I mean, MIBR are not afraid to get in an engagement. I think we've seen that from stage 3. I think Reduct had a very solid opening kill to death ratio. I think he's like +9, +8, something like that, around that margin. So a very good split in all accounts for being a main entry for a team. So we know they have that capability and we know he can do it. And he's just done it again. Another opening pick for Reduct.
Redux showing no signs of slowing down. M-King first to fall. That's a couple of nades gone. Novice, he's going to find the mark this time. Welcome to the scoreboard. Nice nade that hits its mark. Takes down Felipox. Those goo mines that generate over time now no longer. There will be a couple out there already, though. But Novice is going to be playing a fairly risky game here. He's getting himself really close up onto the doorway into office. Seeing if he can just catch anybody out there on the rotation. It's probably not known that he's there at the moment, especially with the way that we see Redux playing, but Novice not really in a position to do anything about it now, as he's been sent to the cameras. Redux there just with the heads up on the swing, had the pre-fire on the door, was able to shut him down.
Redux happy enough just to sit and hold this angle as best as he can. Looking for a quick peek also, and oh, he sees a man and he will find GG. Great swing from Redux. The third for him inside of this round. Any more for him? He's hungry for it. Swings out in towards that office balcony, but just backs away. Here's his wall being opened up now. And he's still in a great position. Even has the mute jammer to deny any real drone work coming in from Akave. It looks as if that Bursa and Guicho want nothing to do with the castle, as they are both nowhere near him. They're both rotating in towards lobby and in towards the kitchen corridor. And in they come now. Let's see if Guicho can try and make something happen. But with these verticals still being upstairs, they can't really do a lot.
C4's coming in now to deny and Raps with a swing to seal the deal. The SMG-11 there just drops the hatch and finds his man inside a dining room. that round was always sort of going that way ever since Redux was just immovable inside of Office demo. If you can't get control of Office, you can't get anybody out of there, you're going to have a very hard time pushing in onto the site, especially with the amount of information that MIBR had available to them there. The vertical holes working perfectly, and Redux just doing a job of holding fort upstairs.
Yeah, it is a bit of a worry. I mean, if a team can't even clear somebody out of Office, bit of a worry inside, Ollie. Really is, because that is, you know, it's Chalet 101 is open up that Office wall. That is what everyone's used to. Everyone
just went one at a time.
Yeah.
You know, it was sort of the opposite of the arc. You know, no one goes 2 by 2. Everyone was going 1 by 1. And that's not really what you need. It's not what you want, is it? You need to be able to go in, get the trade, go in, get the wall open at least.
Yeah, like how many times have we said, Ollie, about refrags and trades? That's the difference between a good team and a great team. And if you can't do that, you're going to get trumped by the team who can. That's just proven facts. I think Akave yesterday, there was a few times where they struggled with getting those refrags. You look at their game against Furious. There was, you know, massive, you know, comebacks that they had to go for. You know, they were really in the mud for a good chunk of that game.
Still only round number 4. MIBR lead 2 rounds to 1, so there's a lot to play, not only in this map, but in the subsequent maps to come as well. But Redux, look at him go. Huicho shut down. Nomad no longer. Quite an important operator as well, given the playstyle that MIBR like to run with, and that is, I mean, look at the site. There's barely any silhouettes on the site. All you can see is blue silhouettes up in the second and third floor.
That's it. One guy. That's all they have. Everyone else is out and about. We're seeing Oryx come in, which is an operator that I think has its uses, but still a little bit lackluster in the actual execution. I think we kind of hype up Oryx a little bit too much, because at the end of the day, all he can do is run through a wall. And how valuable is that really? Not a lot. And I suppose jumping up hatches, yes, it's a bit of a niche thing, but generally teams will be ready for that if they know they're up against an Oryx. What a great kill for Novice. Just says, you know what? Nothing's happening. I need to do something. Jumps in the window, eliminates Philippox, and that gives his team a foothold inside a trophy.
It's something to work from now that Akave can try and make use of. There's still a long way to go, though, as Raps shuts down GG. Drones working in upstairs as well. You have Redux and Lukid playing back-to-back inside a piano, and they're just going to dip back. They know that they've done a lot of the hard work now, and now we've got Akave essentially chasing shadows. They haven't got that many drones remaining. There's only a handful left with the players that are alive, 3 to be exact. So given that one of them is likely going to be a flank cam, there's not a great deal to be gathered here, and there's still a couple of players upstairs. Don't forget, the site is all the way down in the garage.
GG died by himself, I think. I think he just went off on his own. And this is what I mentioned just literally moments ago about Akave, the refrag game. Because they done well to get that kill back. You know, Novice did very well to realize, okay, we need to try and get something back and establish a foothold. He did that. And then it all gets thrown away again because GG's went off by himself and he's gotten picked and he's been with nobody else. The other 3 players I've seen, Ollie, they were towards trophy. This is the worry, because now Akave are trying to attack onto a bomb site with very little. They don't have the man count. Utility is a little bit lackluster. They have 2 nades and 3 flashbangs, but you know, is that going to be enough? Is that really going to be enough? MIBR still can go upstairs in towards the roam game. They're happy enough just to sit on site and trade off. Right now for MIBR, they are in a great shape.
You can just get the feeling that Akave are sort of dug in behind enemy lines now, and they're going to be getting pinched from both sides momentarily. 20 seconds left. The breaches have been opened, but at what cost? What is really going to be able to happen off the back of that breach? Lukid's got a bit of information to play with. M-King shuts him down, though, as Toxic Babe canisters come in to try and stem the flow. Novice going to be the next player to fall. M-King and Burster with a lot of work to do, but Redux flies on in along with Raps, and they collect those final 2. The roam game never dealt with inside of the round, and ultimately Akave just being caught between a rock and a very hard place.
Wow. Wow. That's how you hold it down in the final 30 seconds. Not having to panic, just sitting back, letting the time do the work and putting the pressure onto Akave. So yeah, MIBR did all the work in the roam game, and they're able just to clean things up. I'm surprised that Luca didn't get his kill because he knew exactly where M King was going to come from. But hey, it
was a good swing.
I suppose it happens.
Yeah, it was a good swing.
Still
3 rounds to 1. Starting to edge a little bit of a lead here, though, Demo.
Attackers need to
and keep in mind it's Chalet, and this is supposed to be attacker sided. Please keep that in mind.
It never bodes well. I mean, it never bodes well when teams start to chain win. Well, I guess it bodes well if the chain winning, but if a team is chain losing rounds back to back, that's not really a situation you want to find yourself in. You need to come up with something because you can't just rely on doing the same on your chain side. Back we go here into Bar. This was, of course, where Akave were successful way back when. And it all came down to a roam game that we've criticized, and it's difficult, isn't it, Demo? Because I feel like half of the time we're criticizing the roam game from MIBR, and the other half we're sort of praising it. And it really just depends on how those kills go and how long they stay out there for, because this was a good example of a site where they just overstayed on that roam and they weren't able to get back to site because they just got cut off.
I would like to see Akave just look at how MIBR are playing, which is very, very heavy on the roam game. Why are they not then maybe trying to target one specific area and just go at that with everything they have? Because I still feel as if Akave, they're playing like individuals. I think everyone's trying to just go out there and find a pick. But is that going to be reliable? Because if you don't make those picks, you're going to lose. And I think that's already been proven. I just want to see them just stay together, which, looking at the setup right now, in terms of how they're starting to attack, they've just kind of isolated library. This is where they're attacking. They've got 3 players out in the balcony. All they have to do now is just talk to each other and take it. This is as simple as it should be.
Redux making his presence known inside of the piano. There might be to get a cheeky little impact trick off there. Luca keeping himself secure at the top of Fireplace for a little bit longer. Seeing players rotate now down through the basement as well. There wasn't sufficient pressure really coming from the big window from New Balcony, and I think that's what's allowed Luca to really stay in that location, in that position. Akave, they've got a lot of the things lined up here, but just not quite. There we go. The GG push, that's what we wanted to see. Picks himself up too, like a guided missile. He knew exactly where to go for those 2. Novice, he collects one onto Philippe Hoggs. Now Redux has a long and difficult task of getting himself back onto the site. We do see a hatch drop coming from Fouls. Exposed for the time being, but gets himself back to the relative safety of the closet, even though one of the walls is fully open. There's still a minute here to play with, Demo. This should be fairly straightforward for Akave.
Yeah, should be easy as you like. Still 1 guy off on the roam game, and Redux has to play quite big. He's found 1, he's found 2. What has happened to the flanks for Akave? Have they let this happen? Redux still on the prowl. Oh, will not win the next engagement, though. Hemming is there, and now you're left Fouls inside of the 1 versus 3. There's a smoke, though. We've seen smokes touch up before. Has the SMG in hand. Where's he going to move? Slips in now in towards Games, but he'll be spotted out. A good crossfire being established by Akave. And only that is a night and day difference in terms of how they started off in that opening half.
What a difference an opening kill makes, and what a difference GG getting a couple on the board makes as well. A player that popped off throughout the course of yesterday. Having a big round there for his team. They just had so much more time. That was the Akave that we wanted to see, that clinical, and you commented on it at the time where we saw them stacked up outside of the library. It was, yeah, this is clear. They're stacked up. They just need to go in and take this now. And GG had the information fed to him through on the drone, knew exactly where he was going to be going. It got a little bit tense for a time. There was a moment where we thought Redux might just come up with all of the kills, but he just got himself into a gunfight too many. A good time to grab a round back, and still an opportunity, an equal half here for Akave as we enter what will be the final defensive round of regulation for MIBR inside of Kitchen and Dining.
So that gives a bit of hope now for Akave to maybe go on and get an even split, which wouldn't be too bad. I think it would definitely, salvage something. It's not the greatest half. Typically 4-2 is what you're aiming at if you're on the attacking half. So 3-3 is making the best of a worse scenario, I suppose. But they still need to win this round. Let's not forget this is a round where Reduct just sat upstairs in office and ripped them to shreds. And Akave cannot allow that to happen again. If they cannot get the fundamentals of opening up office wall and taking office, I worry for them.
That's it. They've displayed a great attack onto Bar there. A couple of rounds in a row, really. You know, you think back to the first time they attacked Bar, that's where they picked up the round. But now they need to have that confidence and roll it on through into this round and go, yeah, we are going to take office because Reduct's on the castle. He's going to do exactly the same thing that he did previously. And we just need a couple of people in the right place at the right time. I don't want to see Akave approaching this solo. Raps has already gotten himself down. I'm not sure how the heck that's happened. He's typically site player, but alas, potentially novice from the window. Reduct taking a chunk load of damage as well, as attention is only being paid in his direction. Raps has crawled himself to the safety there of the corner and will be able to get himself picked up, although it's taken quite a lot of effort and time. There's hard information on that as well. GG, I'm surprised he didn't swing on through there and try and take them both.
I mean, GG, we know he can just pop off in a moment's instance, but he needs to be in the right position to really get those kills. And I liked what he did last time. He wasn't by himself. He was pushing with the team, using the information. In he comes. He tries to make a play. Will this pay off for him? Yes, it will. He gets one kill onto the smoke, but will be traded out by Luke. And M-King has been downed and will be finished off by Reduct again. Reduct still upstairs, causing issues, as many as he possibly can. It looks as if that Akave, they actually have control of Solar, and I don't know if MIBR want to try and go for a retake. Looking at how the players are starting to move, maybe it's just going to be a full fallback into the bomb site. I mean, they've got the 2 kills. They've done the damage. Reduct, though, he will be down. Noves crouch walking by himself downstairs. He gets one, but will be traded off. And nobody from Akave is there with him. This is what I worry about, Ollie, whenever these individuals go off by themselves.
Burst has been able to find himself one onto Felipox, so it is a 2 versus 2 with a minute left. This is very doable here, especially given that the office control has now been taken. Reduct removed. Blue Kid just going to be playing slightly off-site. He knows that there's going to be some angles on in. Wicho not really in position at the moment to support Burster, although a rotation is going to happen here. There's hard information available. Burster going to try and make use of that. The red pings come out. Potentially going to give the drone away, but Wicho is going to make it land onto Fowls. Not the player that you want to be losing in this moment. The shotgun and the C4 potential at close range is devastating. 25 seconds. Lukin got a little bit of information here, but he needs to try and make this push happen. Has to try and get himself through the door. Can he stop the plant from going down? No, fluffs the shot. The plant is confirmed, and Lukin now has to fight back. Draws for the pistol in a desperate attempt to make something happen, but the rotation's already coming through. Guicho knows he can get himself upstairs here. There's potentially already a vertical angle available for him to just watch onto that planted diffuser and hold it inside of a post. And look at Lukin, starved of all information, checking every corner, which way, and that doesn't have a single clue where Guicho has moved on to. The shots now start to come on through, actually through the hatch and through the soft walls. There's a chance here for Lukin. You're going to have to drop it, Guicho, if you want to try and make something happen. Lukin baiting out as he goes. Not enough time left. The line of sight was opened in the end, and Guicho can secure that round, leveling things up here at 3 rounds apiece.
He's seen the diffuser. He's seen the guy planting, and he missed his burst. And it just gave enough time for that diffuser to go down. Lukin will be kicking himself after that one. I mean, what a shot from Guicho. Actually, very poor time from Fowls to stand up at that scenario, but it happens.
Guicho did a great job there of getting himself into that position for the post plant. Just that split-second decision, because it wasn't even a thought in his mind. They exchanged a handful of shots, and immediately he's running up solar stairs, and it's like, yeah, I'm not having any part of this. I'm getting myself upstairs. You can either follow me or whatever. We'll take a challenge on a hatch. There's no way I'm taking this as a flat gunfight. Rightly so.
I'm going to come back to the defenses of MIBR. Yes, they do good roam games, right? They very, very solid in the roam. Good strategies, good ideas, getting kills, yada, yada, yada. It works. The issue is, whenever that roam game eventually, that journey ends for them and they have to come back to site, why don't they come back to site? It's almost as if, Ollie, they do a roam game, and then they move to a secondary roam game, which actually has little effect in the game at that stage. I don't know why they don't just come back to site and just sit. They done the damage, they done the work, they wasted time, got utility, got kills. At that stage, you just sit in a corner and let time be the enemy of the attackers.
Almost like a broken yo-yo, aren't they?
I feel like a broken record.
You know, you want them to be more like a yo-yo. You know, you can go away, but you got to come back. Redux.
Another opening pick.
Opening things up onto GG. Now, GG's been a bit of a rough one this game. He's had a couple of pop-off rounds, but aside from that, it's been fairly quiet, hasn't it? He's just sort of flown under the radar. No one really standing out on the side of Akave, whereas on the side of MIBR, you've only got to look to Redux to see a good share of the kills there. Sure, not really an indication as to how the game is going to go. The score is level at 3 rounds apiece, so the kills not too important at this point, but you're going to need to look to a player at some point. And one of our suspicions was that MIBR would be able to perform a little bit better than Akave have done on the attack. And that's demonstrated with the opening pick. We've mentioned it before. Chalet is a map where you really can get in there, get in, and find those opening picks very early. Look at the positioning that MIBR are taking up at the moment. There's Fleepox on a drone, Redux holding a window, Fleepox is holding a window. There's a lot of people outside to in really trying to affect, and they're waiting for the right time to strike. There it is. Redux picks up his second on the round, takes M-King, finds him wandering around the kitchen.
Man's just trying to cook his morning breakfast, I think, Ollie, isn't he? He's trying to get a meal sorted, but not having it today. Now 3 versus 5 with a minute 20 to go. More than enough time to set up a breach and start really targeting this bomb site. But Rejok just says, you know what, I'm going to drop and see what I can do. And all of them join with him. A full drop comes in from MIBR and a full slaughter in the basement will commence. Wow, quick one from MIBR and a good way to start things off in the attack.
MIBR didn't even look stressed or pressured in that round. They were just going through the motions. It was drones, it was holding angles, holding flanks. And when the time was right, that's when you choose to strike. You get yourself in, you pick up your freebies, and you can just flood on in. Akave have just been put through the blender their demo. They're not going to know what's hit them. They've tried a bit of a roam game. It never really had, you know, a lot of a plan to it, or at least it didn't seem to with the way that MIBR were easily able to take it down. Even there, right up until the last, Fleepox just flying in the corner there on the finger to collect that kill. No intention of a plant going down at all. Just get in and get the frags.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs
Fleepox, the highest rated player for MIBR during stage 3, I think made a real name for himself. I think 82 kills for himself in that split, Ollie, which is very, very good numbers. Definitely one of the highest rated across all of BR6 last split.
I think he needed it.
Yeah, I think MIBR, they went for their hard times, Ollie, and it was good to see them get that confidence back.
It really was, and you know, I think Fleepox probably on a personal level needed that because obviously he had the shoulder injury. He couldn't play. We've watched him play on controller, and it was heart-wrenching. You know, it was difficult to watch because you know that the mind is there, the game sense, the decision making, everything's there, but you can just see him getting into engagements, and he played a lot of Alibi because I think that the Alibi was one of the easier guns to control on controller. I'm not entirely sure, but that's the only way that he could play because he didn't have full movement of the shoulder. And then to see him come through in stage 3 and just be like as good, if not better, than we've ever seen him before, it was great, wasn't it? And it really sort of infused the whole team again. It was like, yes, he's back. Like we can start focusing again. 4th highest rated player. That's where he sits amongst everyone. Being beaten out by Fantasy, Polo, and Alamo. They're not that good, are they? That doesn't really tell the picture. Nah, I mean, I didn't even hear you say Nesk's name, so it can't be that high up, you know?
Nesk ain't even top 5.
No, Nesk got a shocker, didn't he?
My word. Comes the drone work again.
Yeah, aggressive drone work, and this is what MIBR are really good at, is getting those entries droned in well. Redux there on the Z ping. I mean, fouls on the entry, it's a little bit questionable, isn't it? You know, is your Habana, it's not required, but it's nice to have. We see Lukid,
he's got his friend.
He's going to leapfrog him. He knows exactly what his job is. It's to get in as the Iana, but he's lucky to actually get away there. There's a player on main stairs that was entirely unaccounted for.
Yeah, very, very lucky there from Lukid. Almost walked into like a 3-man crossfire, didn't he, Ollie? And Yeah, just stays alive for the meantime. So MIBR are going to really stem their attack, pushing in actually from kitchen. No real top floor presence, which is very interesting. Generally, that's where we see a lot of attacks really try and come in from, is taking control of office, open up those reinforced walls, and then try and clear out the shields, top fireplace, top blue stairs. But this is a different approach from MIBR. I see Philippox, he's lurking below inside a basement, maybe to cover a flank, I'm not sure, or perhaps an opportunity for him to walk up the main stairs or even up through blue stairs.
MIBR still plenty of drones available to try and gather this information. Minute left and still half of their available drones. So not a bad position to be in, all things considered, especially given that Mute is a factor here in this round. Redux is going to open up the door into mud and actually find himself a freebie. Novice just gets caught lacking. He's already heard the LMG roar. He's seen the bullets pinging around his head and still not had the presence of mind to get himself out of the way. Redux now can just try to hold this, maybe even open up a bit more of a line of sight there as the smoke canisters do come out to cut him off. It's not a bad position for the smoke canister to be used in here for MIBR because it means that nobody else is going to be able to get pushed off. We can see Guicho still stuck in there behind the bar, but there's not a lot of time left, Demo.
Oh, a good nade comes in. That will eliminate M-King on those blue stairs, and two players stocked up inside of stock in this scenario. Philippox swings in with the LMG. Will find one now. Bursa all by himself. Where is he going to look? It's in towards the games. Will find one. Has to find three more. Diffuser will go down successfully from MIBR. It's only a matter of time, it feels like, until Bursa gets picked, and that's exactly what happens to him. MIBR just storming ahead with these attacks.
And that's the difference, isn't it, between a team of MIBR's caliber. They've really shown themselves, their Demo, to be an accomplished side because they can operate in a very small amount of time. And that's, you know, it's something we talk about quite often when we're talking about teams at the highest possible level. It's a compliment that we've paid to NIP quite a few times over the years, is that their ability to make something happen with a very short amount of time remaining is incredible. And it always surprises, and it always gives you something to go, God, how do they get away with that sort of thing? And it's the teamwork, it's the coordination, it's the trust in everybody that everyone's going to do the job, and they know exactly, you know, what their teammate is likely to do in that situation. It's not always communicated where you're going to push or which angle you're going to check, but once you've played with a team for hundreds, if not thousands of hours, you get a feeling for, you know, which angles and which doorways your teammates are going to like to keep an eye on. And all of that synergy just comes through into the fore, and that's what enables them to be able to make that execute happen in sort of less than 10 seconds.
2 rounds is what stand potentially between MIBR and Akave right now in terms of how map 1's going to go. Akave really need to get their defenses in shape. MIBR, I think, have been kind of big spearheads with the whole kind of Iana meta that we've kind of developed in the past 6 months, haven't they, Ollie? We've seen Philippox and Luke be a real masterclass duo with those two operators just entering in. But you have to give credit to the drone work as well. We've seen MIBR in straight away with their drones. They can pinpoint exactly who they want to kill, and 9 times out of 10, Ollie, they get their man.
The funniest thing about that is that it's usually Redux on the drone. Yeah. He's got 12 kills.
I know.
And he's still droning his entries in.
He's the opening pick player, yet he's not the one in and amongst them. Maybe he gets most of it from defense. That's maybe where that stat comes from. But, I mean, I don't think he minds. Wherever you've got Philippox and Luke, I don't think you'd mind droning for them too.
Well, that's it, isn't it? And it just goes to show that it's as important as anything else, and you can still get a good couple of kills for yourself and still drone your teammates in on the attack. You know, look at him. It's his second attempt, I think, here at trying to gather a little bit of info. He's maybe going to search somebody out on the top of those solar stairs. As we can see, silhouettes starting to shuffle in and around the piano area. Philippox now just jumping in to see if there's anything that he can find. It's one of the slower starts that we've had to a round, but MIBR, they know that they don't need to rush here. They know that they can afford to take a little bit more time on this. Redux is actually going to get that double window wide open as Luke opens with a kill over onto Novice, who by all accounts isn't having the greatest of games so far. Kills continue to fly. Look at him go. Luke picks up 3. He's just lining them up and knocking them down. M-King at the bottom of solar stairs has to try and make the impossible push, the impossible retake. Half the round remains here, and he has been circled on by Sharks. Redux with the LMG makes it sing. Lukin, you got to excuse him there, Demo. He's got to at least attempt the quad kill. He was first round the corner, but Redux there with the pre-fire on the LMG to seal the deal.
It's too easy. It is way too easy for him. Like, this shouldn't happen. What he's doing just should not happen. Oh. MIBR, again, this is kind of what we've seen, I would say, on the defense for MIBR. They see a gap in what Akave are doing, and they expose them right away. No remorse, not even thinking about it. They just do. And I think that's maybe the difference between these two teams today. MIBR are decisive. Whenever they see an opening, they take it.
There's no hesitation, is there?
Mm.
It's confidence, and it's brimming. You can see the confidence, and you can see that the players now are starting to ease into the game and have a little bit more fun with it over the course of the last 3 rounds or so. Every time we cut to the player camera at the end of the round, they're all smiling, they're all joking. You know, the vibes seem fairly high at the moment in the camp of MIBR, and hopefully for them, long may it continue, because it's producing some good siege for them at the moment. 6 rounds to 3, 1 round away from taking the first map in this best of 3 and further guaranteeing their place in the finals today.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Still, a couple of maps to play if required. We go on to Villa next. I don't suppose that we'll see Cafe at this moment in time with the way that Akave have demonstrated themselves. They'd have to have a pretty standout Villa if we're going to get to that point, but it's still a possibility. In the meantime, MIBR need to go through the motions and close this map of Chalet.
MIBR just coming in and I think living up to the expectations that we kind of thought of them. Definitely by far the tournament favorites to actually get that invitational spot. I don't think anyone else can really disagree with that. I think MIBR, if you look at everyone else, they are in, you know, the different league. You know, we mentioned about Black Dragons, always the bridesmaid, you know, never the bride. I do feel as though the MIBR also fall under that same category for many reasons, because they're usually that 6th place team, haven't they? They've kind of been that team that didn't get to go to the majors, the team which sometimes didn't even qualify for the Copa Elite 6. They were just there. And this is, again, you know, like you mentioned, Ollie, this is the redemption arc.
A lot of attention here being paid in towards Library. Site, of course, being Bar. Raps. Find an opener there onto Guicho. Not quite sure how you lose your smoke so early, but I imagine it was through a window. Beak reduct there, shuts Burster down. Akave getting desperate, Demo. They're swinging windows, and they know that there's players on the other side of them. M-King now looking to make a rotation up to the top of Blue, but a drone is all it takes to push him back. This isn't looking great.
I just don't know why Burst is swinging like that. This happens to Akave. I think we've seen this, didn't we, a few times on Bank, where they lose a kill or 2 kills and they just throw themselves. That's it. They just throw themselves out windows, wherever it is, and they just throw in the towel.
Attackers have located a bomb.
I don't know why. Don't know why they kind of deviate into this playstyle. Sure, you've lost the opening pick. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. You can still pull it back, and MIBR are just turning on the afterburners. This should be an easy cleanup of 1 versus 4 for M-King. In comes Lukin. An easy kill. M-King not even looking near the Iana. MIBR just sweeping the attack as easy as you like.
Well, well, well.